Hey guys, since I did a video showing you how to install and configure Windows 95 and Windows for Workgroup 3.1 in VMware, even though I already did one for 98 Second Edition and Windows 2000, why not do one for Windows 98 First Edition? So I'm going to show you guys and walk you through how to set up Windows 98 First Edition in VMware. So first order of business, we're going to create a virtual machine. So we're going to do a custom. Click continue, we're going to select, make sure we select Windows 98, of course. Make sure we use a new virtual hard disk. So we're going to customize some settings. And we're just going to call this a test virtual machine, because it's just no need for the video. So what we're going to do is we're going to make sure our RAM is adjusted to what we need. So we're just going to leave it at 256 for now. Unless we're going to use a game that requires more RAM, you could use 384 as the maximum. But for Windows 98, all you just need is 256 megabytes. So for hard disk, just for the video, we're just going to use 4 gigabytes. If I was going to really have a Windows 98 virtual machine, I would probably have it more than 4 or 8 gigabytes. Probably either between 20 to 40. Depends on how many games I load on my virtual machine. So we're just going to click apply. So for compatibility, we're going to go right here where it says advanced options. We're not going to allow upgrading virtual hardware for the virtual machine, because we're going to use an older version. Since I'm using Fusion Player, we're going to modify the VMX file anyway. So for USB, you can use either USB 2.0 or 1.1. But Windows 98 First Edition didn't really have USB 2.0 support yet until Second Edition. So we're just going to stick for USB 1.1. And before we power the virtual machine on, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and modify the VMX file. If you're doing this on a Mac, you can just go into your Finder to the virtual machines folder. Right click, show package contents. And we're going to go to where it says where the VMX is in this little folder, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to open our text editor. In Windows, you could probably use Notepad. So there's one thing we're going to add is the sound driver that we're going to use is the SoundBlaster 16 driver. See right here where it says sound.autodetect, we're going to hit enter. We're going to make sure to add sound.virtualdev SB16. So we're going to change the hardware version from version 19 to version 4. And we're going to change the PCI bridge to false. So we're going to do these for each PCI bridge string in the So for PCI bridge 0, 4, 5, 6, and 7, you get the whole point here, what I'm doing. Then we're going to change the VCMI and the HPET to false. And we're going to save the VMX. So let me get Windows boot disk and Windows. I'm back since I had to get the virtual machine power. Plus I ran into a little issue with the VMX file that I had to correct, which was something minor. It didn't really save it all the way, so that was a mistake on my behalf. So I had to modify some some PCI, that PCI bridge string, and that make sure to add the SoundBlaster 16 driver. So anyway, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to start without CD-ROM support. Type in fdisk. We're going to press enter. Since we selected that Y, we're going to create a DOS partition, and we're going to do a primary DOS partition. Similar process as setting up 98-second edition. So we're going to hit enter again, and we're going to reboot. This time we're going to do setup with CD-ROM support. We're going to do type in fdisk, press enter again, so we can enable large disk support. We're going to cut. Alright, since I'm back, since we rebooted, so we're going to go ahead and do start with CD-ROM support. And we're going to do format C:. We're going to press Y and enter, and it's going to format the virtual disk drive. We're going to hit enter again. So we're going to change over to the C directory, because we're going to make some important folders so we can be able to copy all the cab files depending on your copy of Windows 98, whether if it came with plus or without plus 98. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a directory for the plus 98 files. That's by doing md plus 98. We're going to do one for the Windows 98 CD file installation files, md Windows. So we're going to change over to CD Windows. We're going to do CD Windows md options. And we're going to do make md cabs. So we can change into the cabs folder. So what we're going to do is we're going to switch over to the Windows 98 disk by typing in E:. So what we're going to do is we're going to change into we're going to do a dir. We're going to do cd plus 98, copy, *.* C:/ plus 98. We're going to make another plus 98 directory. So we're going to change into go into the plus 98 folder, in the plus 98 folder on the disk. So we're going to do cd C:/ plus 98. We're going to make another plus 98 directory on the plus 98 folder. We're going to copy *.* C:/ plus 98 / plus 98. My mistake on my behalf. Just bear with me so we can get that all typed in. So we're going to change into the Windows 98 folder by doing cd E:/ Win98. So before we copy into so what we're going to do is a dir, so we make sure we got all in the folder with all the cab files. We're going to do copy *.* C:/ Windows / options / cabs. And we're going to change into that directory by typing in cdc colon Windows options cabs. Since it's already selected, so we're going to go ahead and press enter. We're going to go back to the Windows 98 disk, and we're going to do setup.exe. Press enter, and we're going to go ahead and press enter again, so we can view. So what we're going to do is we're going to select other directory, click next. So what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of the .00, and so we can go to the Windows folder. So we're just going to click yes. So we're going to go ahead and select typical. So we're going to select show me a list of components, so I can choose, which is a lot more simpler to choose. So we're going to take all the accessories and all the accessibility, and we'll take desktop themes. And if you're outside the US, I'd recommend using the multi-language support. We'll take all of multimedia. And for system tools, we'll take the system monitor and resource meter, as well as character map and clipboard viewer. And under communications, we'll take dial-up server and virtual private networking. We're just going to go ahead and click next. And you can give it a computer name. And we'll go ahead and click next. And select whatever country or region that you want to use Windows 98 in. And we're going to click next again so we can copy files. And I'll be right back on the next part of setup. Since we're back in the next part of setup, so what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to enter our name and whatever company that that you would like to prefer. So I'm just, if you don't have a company, you can leave that blank. So be sure to accept the license agreement and enter your product key. Since we entered a product key, so we can go ahead and do the finishing touches of setup. So it's going to detect the hardware side of things. So just give it some time, and Windows 98 will detect any hardware that's on this virtual machine. Be sure to select your time zone, what we're going to use for your virtual machines settings in the So go ahead and restart. So we should be able to boot into Windows 98 in no time. Since we added the SoundBlaster 16 into the VMX file, we should be able to hear we should expect to hear a startup sound. So go ahead and enter your password if you desire. And there you have it. You should hear a startup sound and the Welcome to Windows 98 music. Just give it some time to load up so we can close this out. So we're going to go ahead and close this out for now. And to disable the channel bar, we're going to go ahead and go into the web tab on display properties, and we're going to select view desktop as an active web page. So we're going to untick Internet Explorer channel bar. And before we do the video drivers, we're going to enable font smoothing and window dragging just to get that best performance of Windows 98. Then now we're going to go ahead and install VMware tools. So we can get full high color and basically get the full color depth to get color modes like true color. So we're going to go ahead and click next. We're going to click next. It should install in no time. So what we're going to do is we're going to click yes. We just ignore that little error message. Sorry about that, I just had to ignore that for right now so we can be able to reboot. So there you have it, we got full color depth now. So we can go ahead and close this out so we don't have that popping up when we boot into Windows 98 all the time. So yes, we do have true color. So I'm going to be right back and we're going to do some driver installation. I'm going to walk you through some driver installation for the virtual machine, and I'll be right back. Since I got it, since I'm back, since I got everything that we're gonna need to install a few little drivers in Windows 98 First Edition, but we're gonna need to install WinZip in order to extract some specific folders. And we're just gonna get that installed where we can be able to open up specific files that we need. Because one of the main drivers we're going to need for VMware is the chipset driver. So we're just going to use the evaluation version and just run the setup installation process. And we're just going to follow the prompts. We're going to be sure to restart. Since we're logging back in, it's going to detect some of the virtual hardware that it needs to pick up. So in case we run into this issue, what we're going to do is we're going to do C:/Windows/options cabs, because we had copied over the cab files from the Windows 98 disk onto the hard drive. We're going to click OK. This is why it's important to copy the cab files over to the hard drive. And just be sure to follow the prompts. So make sure we use the updated driver that it recommends. Since we're back, now we're going to go ahead and we're going to install DirectX 9. I highly recommend installing DirectX 9. So we're going to create a DirectX 9 directory. On the hard drive so we can copy all the files that we need, since we can be able to get that full advantage of our video driver as well. We're just going to run the setup. And I'll be right back once this is all completely set up. Since I'm back from installing DirectX 9, so we're going to test our sound drivers while we're at it. So let's use a traditional MIDI file in the media folder. So everything's working good. And we're going to test our WAV file, so we're just going to use the default 98 startup sound. So far, so good. So I highly recommend upgrading Internet Explorer 4.0 to Internet Explorer 6. So we can be able to have that So we could be able to use certain programs that require a higher version of Internet Explorer, because most programs will ask you to install Internet Explorer 6 or mainly like IE5 or above. So we're just going to use Internet Explorer 6 for the video. And we're just going to do a typical install. And I'll be right back once this is done copying and installing. Alright, since we got the basics installed, so we're just going to make sure Internet Explorer 6 is working. So we're going to go to set up our internet connection manually through a LAN. We're going to connect through a local area network, and we're just going to leave this as is. And we know we don't need an internet account. And I'm just going to use the Bing website just for the video, and there's no need. Just to make sure all the web pages are working. Which that's going to take too long, so at least we got Internet Explorer installed to the highest version. So we're going to install Plus 98. Since we got the Plus 98 files copied over to the hard drive, what we're going to do is we're going to run the setup from executable. We're going to click Next. We're going to accept the license agreement. And you want to go ahead and enter the name and organization, so click Next. And we can untick this. It's not like we really needed to scan for viruses. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a custom. So we're going to click Next, because we're not going to install the McAfee virus scan, because we don't really need that. It's no need because it's outdated anyway. But the rest of Plus for Windows 98 we can install, so we can get that Windows 98 experience. And we can go ahead and configure our themes, so we're not going to really run the maintenance wizard. So let's choose a theme of our choice. We're going to select the Windows 98 high color. But if you want to keep a default color scheme, we're going to make sure to save it as a scheme. That's one important thing, so we're just going to save it as Windows 98. And there you have it. 98 Plus is installed, and hope this video is helpful to some, and always, thanks for watching.